Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Juan Epstein. Well, it's just Epstein because Juan, a.k.a. Cypher Sounds, has something very critical to do today, and I know that that's your bro already.
Yeah, for sure.
So I know you want Cypher to be pursuing his dreams.
All day.
He speaks incredibly highly of you.
I speak the same of him.
You guys are Aries brothers, is that right?
Yeah.
Happy belated, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, first of all, there's a lot I want to get to. I'm holding the Pharrell. Would you call this a coffee table book?
Yes, sir.
Officially.
Yeah.
Pharrell, Places and Spaces I've Been. Just real quick, I don't want to dwell on this too long because it's been out for a minute.
Mhm.
It's sold out though completely. But I know you guys are dropping more in different colors and things like that.
Yep. Second edition coming.
So if you've never seen this book at all, how would you describe this?
I just, I try to make, when I work on projects, I try to make it about the other people because that's where I find most of my inspiration. So I didn't want to stray away from that mentality when doing a book. So instead of making a book about me, I felt like I would make a book that basically highlighted all of the people who have inspired me over the years and the different places that, I would go to work with them and the mental spaces that they would leave me in. So the book is basically a retrospective of like all the interesting, a lot of the interesting people. We actually couldn't fit a lot of people in there, but just the interesting people that just, again, led me to places and left me in a different mental space.
But not all people you collaborated with, some people that you just admire as well. I mean, here's a conversation with Pharrell Williams and Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah, we actually, we didn't collaborate per se, but I do have a partnership with NASA.
So do I. Yeah, Pharrell, we all.
No. I mean, that did sound like some big dog shit, but I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that. I'm saying because I was like sorting through, and then Buzz and I, and also this guy, this other astronaut, Leland Melvin, we all went to like a couple schools to promote what we were doing, which was STEAM.
So you did, in some ways, collaborate with Buzz in a way. You worked with him on something. Yeah,
I mean that was more of a collaborative effort, I would say.
There's so much ground to cover with you, but where I want to start is that I think there's a very interesting moment we're living in as far as your influence on music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, in some ways, I've found that people have sort of been sleeping a little bit on some of your hip-hop work recently. Like, I was really into the record you did for Currency.
Thank you.
And a bunch of other ones that you've slipped out. But they're different.
Yeah.
Stylistically than the early 2000s, certainly.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I feel like people haven't noticed as much as I have, at least.
Right.
But
well, you're an enthusiast.
Not exactly. I am. That's one.
And the collective conscious is just going through a metamorphosis right now. It's just changing. So.
But interestingly, within that change,
right,
some of the most pervasive, important people in the culture,
right,
are disciples, sort of indirectly, of your style. I mean, I think everyone knows Wayne you had a major influence on Wayne, maybe not musically as much as stylistically,
right,
but he was really into a lot of the style moves you made, skateboarding, things like that. And then on a more direct level, musically, style-wise, everything, one of the most creative people in the game, Tyler, no pun intended, idolizes you, pretty much. And I know you guys are now friends as well.
Yeah. Sure.
So I find that sort of interesting that, like, have you noticed that at all? Has it ever crossed your mind that a lot of these important people out there really took a lot of joy from the music that you've created?
Well, credit is to be given and not to be taken. So it's hard for me to answer that question. But I'm definitely thankful for my character in this book, of music, and I am so happy that we are turning the page, and like it's the next level innovative stuff. We're back to that now, so it's I feel good. I feel like it's that time where, like, if you do something that's really different and you mean it, it will cut through. And it's been proven.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. And Tyler, my bro Tyler, did 90,000 copies the first week, which for a guy who literally the only spins on the radio he gets are from my Sunday night at midnight show.
Right.
By the way, shout out to Tyler. He sent me an entire clean album that he made, which I thought was I was very impressed, Tyler, that you pulled that together and actually edited every curse on that album.
Yeah.
What did you think of the work he did with that video for your record?
Oh, it was great.
Like, I sat there and I was like,
I'm so happy. He's the promise. He's everything that, he's everything that we in NERD were talking about. We were referring to that kid. Like when we, when I said I did that song, You Could Do It Too, like I meant it. He's one of the ones that was like, yeah, I could do it, and I'm going to do it right now. And I'm never going to look back. And I'm going to take out all the rage on stage will come from all of my days of people looking at me thinking that I couldn't do it. Because I was crazy enough to believe that I could do it. That's what I see when I look at Tyler.
What was he, do you remember what he was like the first time you communicated with him or met him? Because real quick background. I was one of the first, I guess, like kind of mainstream media people to really take to them pretty early.
Right.
And so I kind of got a relationship with them, and most of their interviews have been here, right?
Yeah.
So I've been very proud of them, but also through our show, people have gotten to if they're not as familiar with them, have gotten to see the personality. We let them come in uncut, and Tyler really does him, and he's gotten to emerge as a person here. So our audience has kind of been exposed to that. And then me, everyone here knows I'm a big fan, and I think of them as like little cousins. Like I'm just happy to see these kids doing this music that I love.
Right.
But for you, someone who's been around him, I'm sure the way he was when you first met him might have been different than the first time I saw him, and I was just some random interviewer he didn't know, versus when he met you, who's someone he looks up to so much. I'm curious to what he was like when that happened.
Well, as all things, all elements in life, like things are, when they're new, they're fresh, they're much softer, in a lot of ways. And then, when they settle into where they are, there's like, the sedimenting process happens.
Put your mic up a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
The sedimenting process happens, and I think that's where he is right now. Like he's settling into his skin and settling into his character. But in this particular era,
did he get geeked out? Did he get shy? Was he still his loud Tyler self, or was he? You know what I'm saying? Was it a different version?
He
of him?
just said all kinds of incredible, super nice things. You know what I'm saying? He's a nice kid, and he's super appreciative. That's the one thing I love about him, is that he will put all of his coolness aside to show another person their effect on him.
Yeah,
and it's not just me. There are several people, and I've seen it all, and I love that, because that was one thing that I always carried with me. Like no matter how much people gave us like, incredible accolades or whatever, if somebody that I idolized walked in, or someone that I just admired their work, I set everything aside to give them that appreciation.
Yes, I know that about you, and I'll explain how in a second. But he is very much that way, and I
love that, man.
Yeah, it's very, very cool, and musically it's pretty cool. The album's great.
Yep.
I think he's really coming along. With you, the reason I know you're like that, and I've brought this up with you before, but I still know it was a long time ago.
Sure.
And you've done a lot of stuff since then. But you came when I was doing satellite radio.
Yep.
You came to my show. You were promoting the Clones album.
Yeah.
I was very geeked about interviewing you. So much so that the night before, and I told you this the first time I interviewed you, now 10 years, was Clones 10 years ago?
Yeah.
03?
Yeah.
10 years ago. So in 03, the night before I interviewed you, I was DJing at a club, and I was like, just for shits and giggles, I'm gonna play Neptunes for as long as I can in the club and let the party rock.
Right.
And when the party stops rocking, I will stop playing Neptunes.
Right.
I did 2 hours.
Thank you.
Of Neptunes records, right?
Thank you.
And then you came in the next day. We had a great interview.
Yep.
And when I realized you are the way you are, and it's a trait that when I've spoken to you about you with other people, they all echo it, is that we started bringing up Pete Rock. And when the subject of Pete Rock came up, you literally put everything aside that we were talking about.
Yes.
And we started talking about, Adore, Let It All Hang Out, and Shut 'Em Down remix and things like that. And yeah, I mean, you went to that place. You know what I'm saying?
Shut 'Em Down remix. There's no way to put that in. That record used to come on and we would lose it. Oh.
From a production standpoint, like I hear it, my own way as a fan, but from a producer, what do you hear from a record like that makes you bug out? I mean, because I'm sure when you were a kid it was
because
different.
It was like this barrage of sounds. He was like the first guy. Well, him and the Bomb Squad. Those guys, they were really into like these really atonal sounds in the middle of their beats. And Pete would either do it with something that was atonal or something that was really in key. And he did it, did both processes were equally as ingenious in the way he would do it. And like, I just remember just being so like blown away. Like when that Shut 'Em Down remix came out, I was like, what is this? It felt like that song makes you feel amazing to be alive. Like it makes you feel great to wake up. It's like one of those things. And I felt like a lot of Pete's music was like, so emotional on that level. But then, I gotta mention Q-Tip. And by the way, people sleep on Redman's production too. But like, right?
Oh yeah, I mean,
he's one of them ones. But I don't know, man. And I what's so funny? I missed that over the past 6 or 7 years.
Which part?
Music that just made you emotional. Like I feel like so much of it had become so synthetic that you could damn near, they were like apps to make beats.
That's pretty close.
And they were like pre-programmed dubstep sounds and pre-programmed trap sounds and, what you would know if you use equipment, default sounds. There's just so much of that. So much is just dialed in. But I just missed the like we put out this record on Robin Thicke called Blurred Lines. And like when that record comes on, man, you see it in the girls. Like you see it.
They give me signals when you get away from the mic.
Okay. So when that record comes on, you can see it in the girls. Like on a clean level, you could just see it just go through their bodies and the music just sort of reverberate, right? But then on a dirty level, just because melodically we just were shooting to like really connect to like a girl's subconscious, it's like right there in the nipples, man. Like that's what I love about music, man. I love when music is actually a stimulant. And now I find that like, a lot of music is just so like a lot of music is just so sterile and so clean that like you need stimulants.
Oh, it's funny. I was I did a throwback mix, I guess. They let me mix every once in a while. They let me. I mix on Sundays, but on the morning show every blue moon, Ebro will let me get on and rock, right?
Right.
So I did a throwback recently, and I played a whole bunch of 80s stuff when I was working my way up through PE.
Yeah.
And I played Can't Trust It. And you know how it starts with like, it started on the slave ship. And I got on the mic and I wanted to express in that, DJ way on Hot 97 like we do to the audience, like this record.
Yes.
And I felt myself almost disconnected from it because I'm like, there are a lot of kids who won't even fully understand what kind of emotion you feel the way you felt when we heard Can't Trust It for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, we were on a much different trajectory. You know what I'm saying? Like, what caused those guys to make that music was the 5 years prior. But if this generation hasn't heard that, then it's kind of like dropping them off in Mars.
Well, and it's interesting. Like, let's say you say,
but I will say there are some kids that like hear it and completely get it and like lose it. Like Rebel Without Applause is like.
No, there are some kids who get it, but you're right. It's interesting because, like, for example, on Fight the Power, he starts out 1989, the number, right? And it reminds you of when that record's from. And
unbelievable.
1989, remember, it's only 20 years from 1969.
There was not one pair of baggy jeans in that whole video.
In the entire Fight the Power video?
Go back.
With everyone walking on the street in the
89, we was still like, it won't no baggy nothing. Baggy didn't jump in until like 90, 91.
Wow, it's pre that.
It just changed just like that.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. But I found myself a little lost. Like, I wonder if kids listening, because the 3 records that hit me in the heart the most from PE are Can't Trust It, Fight the Power, and Shut 'Em Down Remix. I mean, they have tons, but those are the ones that meant the most to me, I guess. Another album that I mentioned to you back in the day, 10 years ago, that made you like almost walk out of the room when I brought it up was Showbiz and AG, Runaway Slave. And that,
I just want to say, Showbiz, I miss your production, man. Showbiz was so ill. You could rhyme on Showbiz beats right now.
Yeah, I know that album is really stupid. Really, really stupid. Those are the two albums, right? Was it Runaway Slave and Diamond's album, Stunts, Blunts, and Hip Hop that like don't you feel like that was one of the things that separated like real hip hop fans were like, yo, you know about that? You know about that digging in the crates?
Yes.
That was that thing.
Diamond D, man. You know what Fat Joe told me the other day? He told me that all the ad-libs and stuff on
All him, the whole album.
He said it was all him.
Yeah.
That bugged me out.
He did everything. Yeah, he told us that too. We bugged out. Yeah, that whole, obviously, I mean, I'm sure you have, who do you have a relationship with from that era? Like, do you and Primo have a relationship? Do you and Pete have a relationship? Do you communicate with those guys? Or are they just people you admire?
I'm like a weirdo when I get around them. They're all like, man, come on, stop. You know, I just do the bowing thing 29 million times. Because they've raised me musically, you know? I'm sorry, like, the group home, their first single.
Superstar?
One of the illest beats ever.
Living Proof, the second single was pretty crazy, too.
Living Proof.
I know, it was a bugged out.
I think I freestyled over that one time.
Yo, we talked about this before once, but on your mixtape, you chose some great stuff. When you did, you had fun. It seemed like you had a lot of fun on that drama.
Yeah, because I was spinning my wheels, and I was kind of, you know, at that point, I needed to do something different, because I just kind of...
How seriously did you take the rap when you were rapping like that?
It was just a sport. I mean, I don't consider myself a rapper.
Right, it's like I go out and play tennis.
Yeah.
I'm not a tennis player. But
I know I was murking niggas, you know.
I mean, be clear.
Yeah. Nah, I'm kidding.
You chose the Fortified Live joint.
Yeah.
That High Tech did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a lifetime supply of ice creams. Shout out to Drama.
Yeah.
He was bringing back shooting so many guns.
Yo,
and you said some pretty gully stuff on that tape too.
I did. I don't know what I was thinking.
You were saying some crazy shit.
Because you know what? I had went into beast mode for just 1 second. I was like, okay, let me just give it 1,000%. And just
be that guy in that
just
moment.
2 seconds. And all I really wanted was Jay to call me. He did. And a couple of other people that I look up to. Like when I put out that Tron, The Game Has Changed, and Flex was bombing it. It wasn't even no song. I just was like, you know what? I know I can rhyme, right? So every once in a while you do things like that.
You have to.
Yeah.
Do you still geek out about Jay at all, or did he cross into friendship to a point where like you didn't geek anymore? You're just like, that's my.
Oh no. We're really good friends, and partners in BBC. So it's different, but he knows I always take my hat off when I go into the studio. Hat meaning ego, and just we only sit there and cut away at the rock until we hewn like perfection.
But you do that with everyone. I feel like I know so many artists that have spent like an extensive amount of time with you, and that you really open your doors to. Like Asher Roth's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Who knows if we'll ever hear that stuff? You know, I mean, it's the record business, but. That time meant a lot to him. I know, like he went in there and you opened your doors to him and made it home. You guys got some shit.
Yeah, man.
And that's not the only person. I know, a bunch of people that they've gone down when they go to see you. You welcome them, and how does that work? Like with a situation like that, you connect with someone. Do you not know necessarily how the T's are going to get crossed and the I's are going to get dotted financially or anything like that, but you just say, let's work, and whatever happens, we'll figure out?
Nah, the T's is always crossed and the I's are always dotted.
Ahead of time, though, or do you leave that to...
It's going to get done.
No.
Yeah.
But when you work, like, let's say, for example, I'm dropping an album.
Yeah.
Which I'm not.
I think I can answer your question.
You know what I'm saying?
You wouldn't feel that.
Right.
From me. Because my job is to be creative and push you to be the best that you could be. Push you to be the best that you could be. Right? I have nothing to do with it except the pushing part. And then, I have people that,
handle making sure everything ends up right.
Make sure.
All right, let's go back. I want to talk about BBC in a minute too, but let's go back to that run in the early 2000s that I guess started with technically Super Thug. Would you say that was really where it started?
Yeah.
I mean, because we're not going to start with like Use Your Heart by SWV,
right. Right.
Or Rex and Effects. But
right.
when we start with Super Thug on, and during that period, there's so many bangers that to pick from. Are there any that stand out the most to you as the ones that are most near and dear? If you want me to list mine at any point, I'll list them.
You know what? One record led to the next, so I don't know how to single them out.
Are there some that you can remember that you did like back to back? That you're like, that was the same sounds. Like you literally, the shit was still programmed. You know what I'm saying? And you were like, let's rock. I have more that I can do with this.
I definitely wore some sound cards out. But then as I grew and my taste in music began to grow, like, you know, I just started branching. And that's why I was like, that again, that's why I'm so excited about now. And
Do you feel like you can do that more too? Or at least be able to have it maybe appreciated more?
What's that? The difference?
Being able to add the sounds. Yeah, because when you started going to a lot of the live sounds and things like that, in many ways, and I think it was probably proven by the fact that it didn't get maybe all the notice it deserved, people may not have been ready for it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For you to start playing all the live chords. And NERD went to a place that people love, but hip-hop wasn't quite ready for those kinds of sounds.
Nah. Not in a grandiose Paramount way. But, yeah, it's true.
Nothing was a big one for Nori.
Yeah.
What's Nori like to work with? We said this to him recently. We were like, yo, you and Pharrell have worked together so many times. Y'all seem so different as people.
Right.
Yet you guys have collaborated successfully so many times.
Well, I kind of just morph into, like, you know, my surroundings. You know, when I'm in the studio with him, you know, and he's got, like, all of his, like, goons standing around.
Drinking Tiger Bone and doing whatever weird shit Nori's doing at the time.
You know, I am absorbing the vibe, and that's where the beat comes from for me, for the most of the part. But then, like, you know, you're in the studio with, like, a Snoop, and, you know, it's 40 big, giant, you know, tall Crips, or in the studio with Game, and it's like, you know, 30, and I'm talking about NBA height. No, I swear to you. I don't understand how all his friends
could be that tall.
Are all 6'3" plus, and they all are Bloods. And not that he doesn't have any friends on the other sides, but I'm just saying, like, you've never seen so much red in the studio, and these big, tall, giant Prometheus.
And he's big enough. The first time I met Game, I was like, dude, you're a fucking giant.
100%.
Like, and then his boys are that big too?
100%.
Yeah, that's abnormal.
But again, with all of the aroma in the room and all the stuff they pour and all that type of stuff, and like the various girls that walk in and out of, like, these sessions, it's just all atmosphere. Those things get translated into, like, a vibe, and I feel like... And
you feel that vibe even if you don't partake, because you don't really do anything, right?
Nah.
Nothing on drugs and alcohol at all?
Weed brownies, I've had my little pockets, little moments of, like, the weed brownie.
In the right moment.
Yeah, but I'm, like, listening to Tribe with my girl, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or, like, you know, before we together, like, you know, I'll be listening to Tribe with a bunch of girls.
I hate you. I remember that's another thing that's interesting, though, because
girls are my motivation.
Well,
I don't know a lot about anything else, but girls.
But I've always, from the minute you came in the studio last time,
you
started talking about women.
Yeah.
And again, you went to a different place. And in fact, I had you call my ex-girlfriend at the time, who I was trying to get back. I said, can you call my ex for me?
Yeah.
And you did, and she freaked out. By the way, she eventually wanted me back, but it was too late. Now I'm with my wife. But so you did do your job. It just played out longer term than I would have liked at the time.
Oh, okay.
But so you never had any vices in the first place, but now obviously you haven't removed a vice. You have the mother of your child, the woman you love.
Yeah.
But it's still different than when you met many women.
Right.
Has that changed? Because now you don't even have the motivation of getting new women, which is something that motivates a lot of creative men.
Well, you know what's so funny is that, like, I was not, like, a big, huge, like, one night stander. Like, I just had, like, just girls that I had an incredible rapport with.
Your friends, basically special friends.
I mean, yeah, you could call it that, but for me, I wouldn't even say that, because I think that starts to color it a different way. You know, it makes it feel like, well, they're friends with benefits, and it wasn't that. Even though we were, like, close. See, I would, like, get really close with girls. Like, if we had that kind of rapport, we'd be mega close. And that meant so much more to me, because I could learn how to treat girls and learn where my mistakes were and how I could improve on, you know, just being a great guy to them. And I wasn't always, you know what I'm saying? Like, I made a lot of mistakes. But, you know, that and, like, the older women, Like that's just been my life. And by the way, when I make music, there's still my motivation. I just don't need to touch them.
And how does your girl feel about that?
She's cool.
She knows where you're at.
She met me balling. No, I'm good.
No, but that's important.
No,
people forget about how people meet each other, and you have to remember who you are when you meet.
No. That's why it works, man. Because we're both like just two weirdos, just trying to catch a ray from the sun.
So what's the adjustment like? I've been married like 8 months, so I've been making my, I love married life,
right?
And but it's different, and there are things I realize all the time, and just what's it been like for you as a man. I've not had, unfortunately. I know this is gonna come as a surprise to many of you. I don't know that I had all the experiences that Pharrell's gotten to have, but I've always loved women since I was like 7 years old.
Yeah.
Always trying to win over girls my whole life.
Yeah.
And it is a bit of an adjustment. I still do it.
Yeah.
I do it on the radio. I do it when I meet women, but it's different
Yeah.
when you have a wife.
Of course.
Were any of those adjustments challenging for you, or it felt natural? It just felt like it was the right time.
Did you see the Blurred Lines video?
No, I haven't seen the Blurred Lines video.
Oh yeah.
I've heard the record. I haven't seen the video.
You should see the video.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, because will I be impressed by the fact that you
titties
everywhere? That you're still able to navigate that space?
Because my thing is like, what, man? Like, I don't have to touch everything that I meet, and it took me a long time to learn that, and that's finally when I realized, oh, you know what? I just need one bestie. That like, regardless of what, it's the same. It's the same, and we just grow.
Because for men, don't you think a lot of it?
And then I didn't want to be like 60 with like 10 kids and like a girlfriend. And that's very easy to do in this business because girls only get prettier and prettier.
You could get less pretty.
And I had a problem too because I liked them all sizes.
Everything.
And well, not all sizes, but a lot of sizes. Yeah, it varied. Because for me, it's the inside it's your mind that would keep me. It's the looks that would get my attention, but it was the girl's mind that would keep me. And I just looked at things different. You know what I'm saying? Most guys just go straight down south to go get that, but they don't understand it's controlled by the north. Like I just looked at things way differently, and that was just from being like a good listener.
You are the man. I could already see that you were probably the master of listening because you really mean it. You listen, even in the conversation now.
Right.
You're a listener.
Right.
And men don't really realize how much women love that when they have a conversation, especially with someone who's already a cool dude to start out with, and they can tell that person's listening to what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's an aphrodisiac, man.
Yeah.
God, where were you to teach me things when I was like 18 years old?
I mean, where were the girls that taught me?
When did you figure it out? Did you always have a way with women even when you were a kid, or did it take a little bit of time?
Nah, I didn't always have I was really, really goofy and awkward, and the only way that I felt like I could just sort of sustain any kind of consistency was to tell jokes all day.
Really?
I just was a funny dude.
Wow, we have more in common than I realized.
Yeah, I was like so close to getting beat up so many times.
Just from joking too much?
Yeah.
That was your way of getting attention?
I mean...
Did you friend up a lot? I was a big friender. I ended up up until I was like 16, I was always in the friend zone.
Yeah.
It stayed a problem, actually.
Yeah, as long as I could fill on a booty, yeah. It's all good. Yeah. Friend, I don't know.
She'll take it.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about BBC real quick.
Okay.
By the way, I know I'm gonna get killed anyway. I woke up this morning. My good friend Loic is here, and BBC was just nice enough to give me some clothes recently. So I just had this fresh shirt that I hadn't worn yet. Threw it on. I get to work, and they're like, Pharrell's on the calendar for today. I was like, oh, what a douche, wearing the shirt to the concert. But I think you guys did something I was very impressed with this year as a clothing line.
Mm.
I'm not like Captain Fashion, but I do enjoy BBC stuff. And
thank you.
Ever since I got up here, that's a brand I've always kept my eye on. Even though I think some of your pants are crazy, but we're going to talk about that later.
No worries.
But when you guys decided to link with Rockaware,
yeah, and
change the price point a bit, change the production,
yeah,
and went from extremely boutique to still boutique, but more accessible.
Right.
I thought that was a tremendous risk, and I feel like a lot of people, I think Apple's kind of going through that same thing about like how much do you want to adjust without people thinking this is part of the cool was how unattainable it was. But I think you guys have maintained the cool while bringing the price point down a little bit and making it more accessible.
Well, look, there's a model that works for Lanvin, and there's a model that works for Comme des Garçons. But we, at the end of the day, I am like a young Black American male. and my aspirations were always to follow in my own route, but like follow in my inspiration and admiration for like Ralph Lauren. So like, you know, why do I have like how much was our polos at one point?
You want me to tell you? Because I remember when I first started going to the store, and I would be like, if I would go there, you know, like Loic would give me stuff sometimes, but of course I wanted to support. So I go to the store, I walk in the store, sometimes, let me guess something real quick. I think the polos were $185 or
something like that.
In that range.
Right.
Even for, you know, as a grown man, I was like, this is tough.
Ralph Lauren, the real billionaire.
Right.
Is, you know, he has polos for $39.
Well, that's tough. $39's tough. When was the last time you actually went into a Macy's and bought a polo? They're still $49. Minimum $49.
It depends on which type.
Oh, yeah, you can get the other ones, too, and the polo sport as opposed to straight polo, etc.
Well, no, you can get straight polo, but it might be in a different material. It may not be in the same material.
Right, the classic material.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about him. That's one of the things that I observed later on in the game. I was like, oh, you know what? This guy doesn't make you overpay for what you know the price expectancy should be.
Right.
So I learned from that, and I was like, man, I don't want anybody to think I'm like trying to like take advantage of
what
that.
was the logic of it being so pricey early? Was there just a cool factor you thought it would have?
I was raised by Nigo, you know.
Who founded Bape.
Yeah, the king. You know what I'm saying?
And that was the philosophy, is like, this is a high-end thing, and that.
Well, we also were using like Japanese denim too. You know what I'm saying? So like when those jeans were like, how much were they like? 300.
Yeah, the jeans were.
Yeah, it's like Japanese denim.
Okay, can I tell you my problem with the jeans?
Yeah, sure. Which ones though?
Okay, well
we have so many different.
No, the ones I got a pair just now that I really like that just have the spacemen on the back, right?
Right.
But I'm not cool enough or capable of wearing jeans with a dog running across my crotch. It's just impossible.
Right.
I was just like, how can I do this?
Well,
you could do it, and I'll be like, oh, Pharrell's wearing some cool ass jeans. If I do it, it's like, Rosamund, there's a dog on your crotch.
Right. Because sometimes we try not to take it so seriously. You know, you don't. You kind of, there has to be some. You know, all things that are great has a little bit of humor. And in comedy, you'll notice the exact opposite, right? When a comedian is great, there's always an element of social commentary.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Chris Rock is great, or like Bill Cosby was great, or Richard Pryor. You know what I mean? Because there was always an element of the complete opposite of what everybody else was too cool to do. You know, when you're servicing humanity in some way, and we feel like we're doing that when we bring in some of the humor. But then we've had like, you know, collaborations with like Thomas Mason, we did what was the guy that just did that astronaut, the painting? Michael Kagan.
Mm-hmm.
Like just different things. We also teamed up with NASA. They gave us a whole bunch of
the NASA
images.
stuff was very cool, yeah.
Yeah, like so, and that was kind of being cheeky and kind of funny, but like, because you kind of need to do that. Like every like I didn't want to be a streetwear brand. Like, you know, 1990, you know, sentence across the front of your chest.
Fair enough,
style, you know?
but you guys do also have, which is funny because you're a high-end company, yet you also have the best hoodie / zip up game there is.
Thank you.
Like there's nothing better than the BBC hoodie, either zip up or pullover, is still the best sweatshirt you're gonna find.
Oh man,
which is awesome for someone like me because
you got to see the girls, the BGC.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Are you wearing a girl's piece as we speak?
Yeah.
With the chick. Oh, that's hot.
You see that right there?
Yeah, that's dope.
Dope, man. Like the girls have been asking for it for so long, but I wear them because the graphics are so cool. We still use Skate Thing from Japan, so those are Skate Thing graphics. So I wear the girls' tees, I wear the girls' hoodies, but like
not an option I'm gonna have. I'll be honest with you, size wise, it's gonna be.
No, we managed to figure it out.
There's a big enough girl size that could fit on my. Not for me. Soon come.
Yeah.
I'm not quite as couture as young Pharrell. All right. Last thing I need to get to with you is the Daft Punk stuff. You just dropped this. Daft Punk, I should say, just dropped this record featuring you, which is awesome.
Thank you.
How much involvement do you have on their album overall? Or was it just
2 songs? I wrote 2 songs on there.
And perform on both?
Yeah.
And
I'm so proud of it, man. This is like probably one of the biggest records of my life. #1 in 55 countries, a single on iTunes. number one in 52. The album pre-orders number one in 52 countries.
My Lord.
Man, it's unbelievable. And the robots are like, they're just like, man, you know what somebody asked me the other day, like, you know, name your top 3 producers, and I've got to say, Quincy, the robots, and I have to say Dre.
Well, now you're gonna make things get more complicated. Quincy, Dre, and the Robots. Daft Punk.
When you hear this album,
But how can you?
when you hear this album, just remember I told you about a record written by Paul Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember that.
Okay. But that's not even where my question is. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with Quincy. I'm fine with them. Are you sure you can cleanly take Dre over Premier? And you don't hesitate about it? You think Dre's... Because we did it on Premier's birthday. I did a Premier set.
Premier
is very tough.
Premier is in a league in his own. Like, he is the number 1 and the number 100 on his own list. I'm just saying, Dr. Dre, you know, you got to look at you got to look at the eras and the different sounds. Like, you know, world class Wrecking Crew, one era. NWA, complete different era. I mean, that was like black punk music, right? It was like some of the most angst stuff we had ever heard. Mm-hmm. They were angry,
and it was dirty, and it was
unbelievable, and it changed culture.
And then you go next year, you go Snoop,
changed culture
again.
Then you go
Eminem,
50 Cent,
M first.
Yeah. M first,
and
then
changed
50.
culture too.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And then 50, and now,
and then the guy, you know, I'm sorry, like it. We have to stop looking at our brands and separating the music. Like, the guy put out some headphones, you know, companies worth, you know, south of $1 billion. He changed culture.
Yeah, so I mean, when you look at the big picture,
that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
Right? Quincy, you know, the
big picture also.
Yeah, you know, movie scores.
Now, here's my thing. If you were to take, in my opinion, if you were to take DJ Premier and Dr. Dre and give them a machine and throw them in a studio with sounds and say, you have 5 hours, see you later.
Oh, man.
I think
yes.
I think there's a good chance DJ Premier gives you the better product.
Listen.
But that's not what Dre did in the same way.
I'm not going to argue that. They're two different kinds of producers. And Dre is a beat maker too, but he's a producer, you know, in the dictionary, under the dictionary definition.
Yeah, no, he does everything. It's making it bigger. It's making it crispier. It's making it. I interviewed Eve recently, and we were talking about "Let Me Blow Your Mind," and like that record is literally. I mean, you can like it, you can don't like it if you don't want it, but it's perfect. Like in terms of every little sound that he does, he makes perfect songs.
Yes, and he is one of the mixingest dudes. Him and Teddy Riley are the best mixers ever. If they ever wanted to do something else in their lives, which they probably don't, but. There's those guys mix records. They can turn a shit snare into like the most crisp, freshly produced rolling sound on a sound card.
Did you learn from Teddy Riley getting to be around him all the way back when you were a kid? Or were you not really around him that much?
Yeah, I learned a lot from Teddy. He was a layering master, and he was like a piano protege, provocateur of like gospel chords. So I learned a lot from him too.
Big shout out, by the way, to our mutual friend Nardwuar. It was fun to see you get to flip the script and interview Nardwuar.
Yeah. Is it true, Pharrell? Pharrell?
Yo, people ask me this a lot.
Yeah.
I'm proud to be one of the people who receives the wonderful Christmas card from Nardwuar, which is hilarious. It's like an awesome, weird Nardwuar cartoon. Like, he sends like this little weird postcard. How much? I have my own opinion. In your opinion, how much of Nardwuar, the human serviette interviewer, is the human being, and where's the line?
He is 200% that.
But he's also, don't you believe, aware of him being that?
Which which is why he's a lot like Busta.
In what way?
Busta's the same guy on the record that he is in person. He sounds like that. He acts like that. His descriptions for shit is the funniest stuff in the world, and he's dead ass. You know, like I made this record for him, this record called Twerk It.
Soon come.
Crazy. I made it using boiling water as a sound, and the water just goes back and forth.
Whoa.
I'm on some other.
Whoa.
Yeah. So he so I won't give it all away. I'll let you guys hear it, but he's you know, he's dead ass. You know, when I played that beat and the 808 came in, he was like, "Yeah, son, it was felt like a big, you watch Dumbo, the big elephant walking branch, branch, branch." And that's his way of describing like the volume of like of like a tuba and its correlation to like an elephant's ass walking slow to the beat. You know, he's dead serious.
And that's his way of describing it, right?
100%. Whereas Nardwuar is the same way. You know, you talk to him in an interview and you think, all right, cool, man, the cameras ain't rolling no more. He's like, you know, he's serious. He means that.
Pharrell, places and spaces I've been. New editions coming soon. Loic, when's the new edition coming? Next month, New Colors, second edition. And BBC, well, now you can find BBC lots of places. It's around, so...
And I just want to say to Hot 97 and everybody up here, all the staff, the folks here, thank you so much for supporting us all these years. And man, I got so many good records coming right now.
Well, I can't wait. Listen, I told you, I listen to. I think I listen to every record you put out. So
wow,
I got you.
Get ready.
I look forward to it.
Love.
Pharrell, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, sir.